Rightio, stable chat today brought to you by Kelly Partners. I've actually got a sponsor, so I have to look after sponsors. Kelly Partners in Melbourne, I must say a very big thank you to them. And I'm not sure, it should be right, Water, I think you'll find, but just we might have an issue here. It's okay. That's okay. Kelly, I'm actually at Tonkins and Stewart's. I keep calling it Tonkins, Emma. I'm very, very sorry. What is the property? There was no sign at the entrance. What is the property called?
It hasn't got a name, actually.
Might have to get you guys to come one step closer for me. Has it got a name?
No name yet.
What do we call it? Work?
Yeah, work the stables.
Very, very good. I've been here most of the morning, and it's an incredibly busy little place that you guys have. It's an amazing setup. You haven't been here that long either. It's 3 years at the most?
Yeah, no, we've been here probably 3 years now, and there was nothing here. It wasn't even power. There was no driveway, nothing. So we've gradually along the way we've got things done, and it's coming up good.
One of the things, and I'll get my daughter to realise she'll hit the track button for me very quickly, and watching the horses walk around, it looks a beautiful track. It cops some work, but it looks an absolute beautiful track, and seems to be tailor-made for horses just going one after the other, round and round.
Yeah, no, it's a terrific track, and we sort of based it on our last track because we didn't want to change it too much. So it's about 870 metres, I think, and it's got a little bit of a rise in it, not as much as our last track, but so we didn't want to change too much because we had such success at our last place. So it cops a lot of work, and today actually our water truck's not here, so it's normally watered all the time and it's a lot better, but no, it does a job really good.
It was 200 mil of rain here yesterday. You guys didn't get that by the looks, because I was expecting the track may have been washed out. So Burrenbeat, it's not that far from here, but you mustn't have got the 200 mil.
No, we got very few mil actually. But Burrenbeat's only like 5 minutes down the road, so it was crazy.
The track, I was watching the way you guys work, and I know you both spent a bit of time with Peter Manning, and you spent a little bit longer than what Clayton did, but Pete's big on horses just continually working, jogging, fast working and swapping and changing. It seems to be something that you guys have installed. Do you think that keeps horses probably a little bit more settled at the races with, I've seen young ones out there jogging and horses hobbling past them. Do you think that actually is one of the parts that does help them? Yeah,
for sure. It's being consistent, and they always get put into different situations where, like you say, horses going past them and different people driving them, and it's one of them things where they're in a real consistent sort of work regime, and they seem to get really relaxed and they really enjoy it.
When I rocked up, Clayton, you had a young one. You were coming out onto the track with it, and you were waiting on Alan McDonough. I don't know what he was doing. He was dragging his heels, but it just stood there. And you were saying to me that they've just got to learn to stand there, because you've got a tribe of horses. I don't want to know how many. I'm not here to worry about that. But I can tell you guys have got a tribe of horses working around behind you, and they just have to learn. And it's one of the things about working big numbers of horses, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know yourself. Like when you see 2-year-olds step out, and the manners are everything. And I think. We pride ourselves on having 2-year-olds go out there and be well educated and all that sort of stuff. So, as you see here, like they're happy, and they'll do whatever you ask of them. And like we put them in them situations where they've got to stand around and do all that sort of stuff, and then they go to the races, and nothing's a big deal to them.
Might get Holly actually to hit the stable number icon there, because the stables are very impressive when you actually hear the video probably doesn't do it enough justice at how many horses you do swap in and around, but it works. You got horses everywhere. You got colts and fillies next door to each other, and it definitely seems to work. And that probably goes back to what you were just saying then. It seems to settle them down. Then the young ones just must, by the time they've been here for 2 weeks, must grow up that much.
Yeah, they certainly do. When they first come, they want to sort of dance around and play up a little bit, but they get used to being inside with their mates, and, colts are next to fillies and all that sort of stuff, and they just learn to settle. And, the work shed's one of the things we really wanted to get right, and now it's probably not big enough. We thought it was going to be too big, but, we've got our systems, how they come in, they tie up like the races, and then out the back they all get treated after they work, after they walk, and, so it's a really good work shed. It just needs to be a little bit bigger now.
I'm not sure if that one's finished, Holly, but as soon as it does, you can actually flick onto the walker, because that's one thing I like, is you do have everything so close. It was interesting that you think it's not quite big enough, but I like how close it is, and the video I've got there will show actually the walker right alongside of it. I think it's very impressive, but it's scary that you say the shed's not big enough. Are you going to expand, or...?
No, definitely not. We want to cut down numbers, so we purposely made everything close, so you don't have to walk miles. Like the track's right there, the walker's right there, because sort of with the numbers you sort of got to cut down time where you can. So yeah, we purposely made everything close.
Well, one of the things a lot of people they say how do they get them all worked, but I'd hate to think, I've been here for a little while, but I'd hate to think how many horses have gone out on the track. No one's rushing. I mean, and there's no joggers, there's no one on leads, and no one's rushing. I mean, your staff aren't bludging by any stretch, but I mean, everyone's just cruising along. But there is a large amount of horses constantly going in and out onto the track. It must be a well-run system. Who is the chief commander of how it works, or does it just every day it gets up? Clayton is. You don't seem to be overly bossy though, Clayton. I think it's from what I've seen, you seem to be pretty jovial and having a good time. Might be because I was moving around with the camera, I don't know, but it does definitely seems to work.
Yeah, no, we all have our moments and our days and that, but I'm sure if you've got your staff and they respect you, and like you say, we've got a great system, and the thing is, when you've got a good system, things flow, and I'm sure if you didn't have a good system, you couldn't do big numbers, and it's about the people you got around you as well. If you've got good staff and that, you don't have to stand over them too much, and sort of say, like, once they get into the rhythm of it and they know what's actually going on, it just seems to work.
One of the rumours, like there's lots of rumours around, and this is one of the reasons I've come here, and I was rapt that you guys have said it to spell them, but turnover of staff. But actually, there's one bloke missing today too. Don't tell me Sam has a day off, does he? Or but you sort of have you've got Dylan, Sam, and Alan and Nora. I better be in trouble, otherwise I'll get into trouble. That are always there, but a lot of familiar faces that I see at the races that we don't know the names of a lot of the staff. That, as far as I'm concerned, they must have been here for nearly 12 months. Most of those, apart from the 4 that I've mentioned, these other staff, they seem to be here quite regularly anyway.
Yeah, well, we've actually sponsored Nora. She's been here for 3 or 4 years now, and we've sponsored Ada as well. She's been here going on 2, and Sam's been with us since he was like a kid. So
do you sponsor Sam?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't sponsor Sam. But he's actually having his first day off ever, like he never has days off. So, we've got our consistent staff, like our senior staff that have been here, a long time, and we sort of pride ourselves on keeping good staff. And, we do have a turnover of overseas workers who are here for their 3 months, and then new ones come. So, they're more sort of running the horses backwards and forwards and all that sort of thing. So, no, we have good staff, and, everyone sort of does their own thing. Neither of us are really bossy, and, I think we're pretty easy to get along with.
Everyone has a turnover of staff. That's the worst part. But I think because you're so big, everyone says, staff keep leaving and all the rest. But from what I can see, there's not too many staff have left, because you see them. There's one other slideshow, if my daughter stops patting your dog, the gear and everything like that. I mean, race days, it must be enormous. And I've asked you this before, Em. You've said that you all get in and clean the gear. We've got the gear shed here behind us, and just looking at the amount of gear you've got, it must still be a minefield. It's incredible. I was looking at all the horses and I was thinking about all the gear, and then we came over here to your race day shed where we've taken umbrage with the shade. But it must take a hell of a lot for you guys just to keep on top of.
Oh, that's Clayton's department. It sends him crazy because he's always trying to fiddle with gear and all that sort of stuff. So on the big nights, it is hectic because, you want them all to have the right gear and everything, spick and span. So, but we all sort of get in and do that sort of thing. And, Clayton sets the gear up, and, once you do a couple of big nights, you sort of get into the rhythm of things, and it's a lot easier than actually having like 6 in, because it gets a little bit boring. So, but the gear's a big part, and, Clayton's terrific at that, and, he's always on top of the gear.
You're very diligent. I know one thing, you race sulkies, and you're not big on them being lent out and people borrowing them either, but they are one of your pride and joys, aren't they, your race sulkies, and having the right card on the right horse? Yeah,
for sure, and I think we could get things better again. Like, we've evolved in that with the American bikes and that, but I still think, if we can get them a little bit wider again, and then even I've been trying to push for the carbon fibre one, so it's sort of one of them things where I think it's a huge thing to have things, right, and I think we could get it better again. So, I definitely believe in it.
Right, so enough of that. We're not going to ask about all your runners on Saturday night and all the rest, because it is the Summer of Glory, but I'm hoping people are watching this way past that. But Storm Inside, it was a very unfortunate thing that happened the other day. People say, they don't worry because they've got horses, more and more horses coming through, but the effect of losing a horse like Storm Inside, it must be very, very drastic on the stable. Yeah,
it's stressful because, you love him, like he sort of had a great record, and he was one of them horses that was really special to me, Justin, and everyone, and Emma, and everyone that owned him. Like, he was a gorgeous horse, and, he's not, he's still going to be able to stand at stud and all that sort of stuff, but the horse had gone through that many injuries, and you've seen he hit a purple patch of form when he come back, and he just wasn't right at Bendigo, and he split his knee open. But I think these were little things that were coming to what actually happened. So because I was just so uncharacteristic the way he never wore knee boots, and then he hit his knee at Bendigo, hung in, split his knee open, and they kept thinking that he was having muscle pain in his back from where he had a screw in his back leg, and as it turned out, he ended up cracking a sesamoid. So
that's one of the worst things. Like a horse like him might just get you guys to come and straight because we're almost out of the car. That's better. Then I don't have to stretch. Like a horse like him, you're so diligent with it, and for these sort of things to happen. And as you said, I interviewed Chris on Thursday for Trots the other day, and he said, he got on his knee and it was uncharacteristic. And the question's always been asked, can he stay or can't he stay? But Chris's answer to that was the horse can definitely stay, because he said Bendigo was so bad, he was gone 600 out. It had nothing to do with him being able to stay or not stay. He just wasn't right on that night. And unfortunately, as you said, it's a telltale sign. But you do have so many of these horses coming through. It must still also be a juggling act, trying to get these horses through to that next stage, that next level.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big thing trying to keep the horses sound and that, because, you know, like you see a horse like Be Happy massive big 2-year-old, run 52 probably 3 times last year as a 2-year-old, was up early for the gold and was still up for the Breeders' Crown. You've got to say that miles, you know, it taxes their legs, you know, and the thing is, there's so much money available that a lot of the owners want them to race in these good money races, and it takes a bit of tread off the tyres.
It does indeed. Well, that's probably one of the criticisms for the stable, I suppose. No Grand Circuit horses, and it's not necessarily from me, but I mean, there's some people that turn around and say it's the one thing that is a lacking at the minute. Grand Circuit horses don't just fall out of trees though, do they? I mean, they're not that. There's a lot of horses that can almost get to that level, but being able to take that next level is very hard, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we had horses. I know a lot of people say that, but they forget about horses like Guaranteed, Restrepo, you know, Philadelphia Man. All them sort of horses were all Grand Circuit horses, and you go through it all, and like it's one of them things where they see them high profile 2- and 3-year-olds and that, and some horses don't take the next step, some do, but yeah, I know a few people have criticised that because, you know, some of these younger horses haven't stayed sound, but you got to think they've had a lot of racing under their belt as 2- and 3-year-olds, and then all of a sudden, like I say, the tyres wear a bit of tread, and then you know, they can't last forever.
Is that a juggle from you guys to work out which way to go? Like, do you say to yourself, like a horse like, say, Be Happy Mac, that he's a potential Grand Circuit horse, so do you stop not racing him in all the 2-year-olds, or is that where it probably gets that little bit tricky and a bit juggly, because there is so much money on offer as a 2-year-old and you're so dominant? I mean, how do you have a horse that's that dominant and can destroy fields like he did, and then say, we're going to bypass all the 2-year-olds because we reckon he's a Grand Circuit horse? Is that one of the great struggles, I suppose, as a training combination?
I think you got to get the money when you can get it. You know, I always regret we turned Rock and Roller out before the Breeders' Crown, and because she had a little muscle tear in her back, and I think they got home in 31.5 or something in the Breeders' Crown, and she was so dominant that year. And you know, I think she still could have won with the torn muscle. So it's always a regret we had, because she sort of didn't take the next step as she got older. So I think if you've got a horse that's so dominant, you sort of got to get the money when you can get it, because you never know when you've got them.
I think that's very, very well said. One of the other elephants in the room is Emma's Clayton starting to take his own name back as a trainer, and there's a lot of untoward about it. I mean, I think initially a lot of people were saying, Emma must have a positive, I think, and the likes. But firstly, what is the rationale behind that?
I definitely haven't got a positive, because even if I did, he couldn't train here anyway, because we both own the place. So no, like, he's been in the background, you know, he's like the turning wheel behind everything. So, and he's been in the background for 15 years, and you know, he deserves to have the horses in his name as much as I do. So he pinched a fair few of my good ones, so I wasn't happy about that. But you know, no, there's nothing untoward about it. He just wanted to have a few in his own name, and you know, we'll see how it goes from there.
That was my next question. How did he get to select the horses he did? Because he seems to have. And I don't know how this family works, but at home I might think I'm winning an argument, but I don't win too many arguments at all. So obviously he must have won a few. Yeah,
no, he's the boss, so what he says goes, and you know, I'm not really fussed about it. As long as he doesn't take poster boy, I'm happy.
Was there any formula to it? Was there or was it just some of the horses that you guys just decided, well, we'll put this one in Clayton's name and the like?
No, well, originally when I said to Emma I was thinking about getting my licence, because my dad has hounded me for years to get my licence back, and he says, you know, you got to get your licence back, and it doesn't bother me too much, because like, it's never worried me, you know, and we know where we all stand and all that sort of stuff. But then when I had a horse like Ride High that I loved, and I thought to myself was actually like real special, and you know, we do a lot of work with him, and I just think he's sort of the pinnacle of what I want. And I thought, I'm going to get my licence back just to train him. And then when I had my licence back with him, I thought, I might just put a few of the others. Like, I really love Alpha Male. I do a lot of work with him. And I said to Emma, I might just take a few of them. And I thought, I'll take Be Happy Mac. But then he never run a place the other night. So I said I'm the first person that he never run a place with. But no. And Emma's horses adapt. So she said, if you're going to take something, I want you to take mine. And yeah, no, it's just the way it is. It doesn't worry me too much.
Couple of horses mentioned there. One, Alpha Male, I love me trotters. Whereabouts is he at? Is he back in work? And or if not, how far away is he?
Yeah, no, he's had a month back, and he looks like an absolute beast. And yeah, it's exciting times as long as we can keep him sound. He's a big, heavy horse. Had a bit of knee troubles, got a bone scan. It was recommended to turn him out. Could have injected and kept pressing on, but he was such a big, gross horse. We turned him out, give him the time. But he's probably about 2 weeks for do a bit of fast work, but looks unbelievable.
One of the best things I actually watched the night he won. I think it was Breeders' Crown, was it the Group 1 last year? Might have just been Homegrown Series. And I was Boko, the head of the Boko stables, was there, and he just turned around and said to me, "Wow, that horse should just go straight to Europe and race Europe." Poster Boy, Ride High, those sort of horses. Is overseas travel, is that something that may be on the cards for the Stewart Tonkin combination? Is there any dreams of potentially going there, maybe Europe with an Alpha Male or America with Ride Highs sort of horses?
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be interested. I don't want to be as big as we are forever. Like, that's why we've just purchased next door with Justin Baker and Rob Smart, and we're putting a water walker. We've got another 160 acres beside us we've just purchased. And, we're thinking about pre-training a few gallopers actually. And like I say, if we cut back a bit, it'd definitely be something sort of we'd definitely look at, because we don't want to, be as big as we are forever, so we're going to do it while we're younger, and then we'll definitely take different options.
That's huge news, because I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but the Trittons have announced in May they're going to America. They're shutting their shop up in Menangle. They've announced that today as well. So maybe something for hierarchy at HRV to be aware of, that everyone is working hard. I know I go around and you see a lot of the smaller guys and they say it's a hard slog, but I mean, you guys obviously are doing the same thing. Even though you are there winning all the big races and all the rest, it's still obviously a hard slog for you guys at home here.
Oh, for sure. It's tiring, and it's not sort of a job, it's a lifestyle, because it's like all day, every day. And, we're lucky enough that we've got great horses and great owners behind us, and we're fortunate enough to win the better races. So it does make it a little bit easier for us. But, it is a hard sport, and, the work compared to what you have to do with the gallopers for better money, it's just ridiculous. So I think, in the long run, while you're young, it's okay to work as hard as we are, but I think in the long run, you sort of got to look at different options.
Yeah, that's very good. I quickly skipped over one horse there before. Poster Boy, whereabouts is he at? I don't want to be remiss of him, but is he back in work?
Yeah, he's back. He's had probably 3 weeks now. So he had 4 months here just walking, and he had a few little feet issues and a little passing issue. So he seems sound and happy at the moment. So I know Anderson's would be keen if we ever went to America to send him over there, and I think it'd suit him and Ride High down to the ground. So it's always an option in the future.
If you want someone to go to Europe with Alpha Male, I'll put my hand up. There's no worries there. I can take him over. I'll get a trip one day. Water Walker in next door. So obviously things are going to keep changing and keep evolving here. It's a never-ending story. There's no house here. Are you guys going to one day set up shop and live here, or are you happy not living on site?
I don't want to live on site. Clayton does, but I think if we slow down and sort of scale it back a bit, it'd be more peaceful living here. Just sort of, it's nice to go into town and have a break. So next door's got a house on it, and there's going to be more accommodation. It's going to be a fairly big setup there. So we're looking forward to setting that up.
It's scary for everyone else, and the main thing I think as well is Willow. That changes the way you think, isn't it? When you don't have a child, you can sort of keep going all the time and all the rest. But when you have someone like Willow, they definitely slow you down. And I mean, she's a gorgeous kid. She gets around the races as well and says hello to everyone. So obviously, I think that must change the way you guys look at your work life.
Yeah, for sure, and that's why you don't want to be sort of flat out busy all the time, and that's why we try not to go to the races all the time. It's one of them things where we try to spend a bit of time, because you're here working all the time. The time you get at home, you want to actually spend with her. So that's why we try not to go to the races as much, and try to go on the big nights. And we definitely don't want to be as busy as this forever.
I'm hoping a little bit of insight today that you guys, I mean, you guys were going out on every trip. And I don't think this was showing off for me. I think every trip going out, you guys were in amongst all those trips. So I think, as you just said then, the reason you're not going to a lot of the races is you've done a full day's work here, and then to pack up and go to the races that night, it just must wear you down eventually.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we drive every day. Like, I do most of the hobblers with Nora, and Sam and Alan do the other hobblers, and Clayton's always jogging, and he does the rough ones or the ones we can't get going. So we're always working flat out, and we sort of work all day every day. So we love it though. Like, I'm not complaining. Like, I'd rather be doing this than sitting in an office.
It was one of the best things I seen when I got here, but unfortunately that video didn't work. I don't know what happened to that camera, but Clayton had his knees up around his chin because he said it's easier for him to drive short than listen to the girls whinge that they can't reach the stirrups. It was quite enjoyable. I don't know how you actually did it. It was a young one and it was running all over the shot. I must say thank you. I must say thank you to Kelly Partners as well, but I must say thank you very much for giving me the time. Hopefully it's given some people an insight into the place. As I said, we could talk about all your runners on the weekend and Saturday nights and the likes, but I don't think we will. Actually, one thing I will very quickly just tap on, how many 2-year-olds do you have next year? Like, have you got many going ready, or this year I suppose, have you got many 2-year-olds ready to go or not far off going?
Yeah, no, we've got would it be roughly about 30?
Yeah, probably.
Probably roughly about 30. They're probably 2 weeks away from trolling, but we've got some really nice young stuff, and yeah, we've got a couple of good trotters. You'll see them in a couple of weeks, and we've got a couple of special ones.
A lot of people won't like that. Got a couple of good trotters, because the trotting fraternity have been very happy that you guys have, put loops on them all. But I think I think it's great that you are, diversing into it. I think, and they are great trotters. Do you guys enjoy driving them as well, or?
Yeah, no. I to be honest with you, I never really thought about getting a trotter, and there was so many trotting races. So now we started buying 1 or 2 at the yearling sales each year. Like these, we only bought 2 at the yearling sales last year, and they're only probably 2 weeks away from qualifying. Yeah. And they can scoot along, and it's just one of them things where everyone sort of went with a lot more trotting races. So I said to Emma, we better dip our toes into it and see if we can do it. And Alpha Male was our first one, and we loved him. And we actually had a 3-year-old. Oh, he's 3 now. Could run a bit, but he had a few problems. And then we bought a couple at the sales last year, and they look like they're going to do a job. So it's just one of them things where it's something a little bit different.
A lot of people out there be rapt that you're saying that, because I think the more people that buy trotters and get into trotters, the more trotting races they'll have, and the purists of the trotters, they love it. They don't care who's winning the races, and they are such a beautiful thing. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. It's a ripping day here in Ballarat. Anyone says Ballarat weather's terrible, they're joking. We're actually getting a suntan here while we're standing here and talking. But yeah, and thanks to Kelly and Partners. My daughter will throw the slide up, but thank you very much for your time, Emma and Clayton, and well done to both of you. This is a beautiful setup.
No worries at all. Thank you.
No, thanks very much.